Good afternoon from Vietnam. Good morning to you, Jess. Thanks a lot for spending your morning to join our program to share your stories to our global audience. And on behalf of the listeners everywhere, we would like to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you to you.
Well, it is a joy. Thank you for having me. It really is my privilege. I can't wait to see where this conversation goes.
Yeah. And since you haven't been to our country yet, right? So please take it as a formal invitation. If you decide to travel here, now you have two new friends, a family here. So you let us know. We would love to see you in person. We show you around.
Joyful, joyful. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And in our culture, Jess, you have friends from Vietnam also. You know our culture a little bit is that it's an extremely honor for us to have you to share a little bit to our audience about who you are and the work you do for our audience. Would you please do that for us?
Sure. I wish it was simpler than it is at the minute. So for 22 years, I've worked as a speaker, a behavior insight advisor. So I coached and advised 93 of the Fortune 100 businesses across the world, and spoke at conferences around the world. I've written some books. I have a background in television presenting, and I've done a ton of other stuff as well, but that's the main thing. And then very recently, I had a big sort of life reset and have started again a career as a ceramic artist. So it's very different. I'm still speaking, but a lot less. At the sort of peak, I suppose, I was staying in hotels around about 250 nights a year, 100 and something conferences a year. And it was super busy, super busy. So now I just restrict the number of conferences I do every month. Rather than saying yes to everything, I choose which ones I accept, which gives me much more time to spend in my studio playing with clay.
You have a phenomenal journey that you introduced to us in 2 minutes. All right, and it's not fair for our audience, okay? And then this conversation, like we shared before the show, is it's going to unearth the story and the journey that leading to what you do today, of helping people to get better, of showing the possibility, from inside of us, and let's travel time together. How does it sound to you?
I'm excited, as long as we get back to today.
Yeah. When Vivian was little, she wanted to become a singer, so loved on the stage and perform singing. When I was little, I was born in a very poor community, and it's dark at night. So my first love about the future that I wanted to become is to become an astronaut. And flying to the moon seemed very, very cool, but life has taken both of us in a very different directions. Except in this journey, we've been interviewed in a lot of people from NASA, a lot of people, astronauts, and one of the person we interview also is the person in charge for the Artemis project that just sending people to the moon. So when you were little, Jess, what was your dream about the future works that you are going to be doing when you're growing up?
I had such an unusual. So I have done a lot of things in my life, a lot. I created the world's first carbon neutral honey farm. I was a bee farmer, studied beekeeping for a long time. I've been a professional magician. I've trained dogs for TV and film and animals. I've done a ton of different stuff. And when you asked me the question about what did I want to do when I was little, for the first time ever, it's just occurred to me why I've done so much. Because many people say to me, oh, you've done so many different things, and they say it in a slightly derisory way, oh, you can't make your mind up, or you change your mind a lot, or you do lots of different things, as if it's a bad thing. And I remind them that our only given guarantee is this present moment right now. I don't know what's going to happen for the rest of today. I also worked for the ambulance service. I was training to be a critical care paramedic, and I saw firsthand that some people didn't wake up this morning. Some people went to work and they never came home. And some of them may have survived, there may have been a car accident, a catastrophic injury at work, or they may have died. And so nothing is guaranteed. So when people say to me, oh, you know, you've done lots of things, I say, but we're here once. Of all of the countries you could travel to, all of the languages you could learn, the instruments you could play, the jobs you could enjoy, why are you not doing all of those things? Try everything. Find the thing that brings you alive. And so you ask me, you know, what did I do, or what did I think about or dream about when I was young? And I remember wanting to be a dustbin man, to pick up the garbage. I remember wanting to be a Queen's Guard. I remember wanting to be a milkman, a policeman, a baker, all of those things. I saw something and saw inspiration and thought, oh, that looks great. I want to have a go at that. And so it's probably no wonder, actually, that I have done a lot of things. I don't know. Maybe a psychiatrist would say, well, clearly you're indecisive. I don't know. But I think the golden thread throughout all of those things is, I come back to this all the time, and of course as a child I would not have been able to contextualize this, but I live my life, and have done for many years, based on three sorry, I have ink all over my fingers. I've just realized there's two things that I'm always stained with. I'm a writer, so I've always got ink on me or clay. That's a given. So the three things are joy, passion, and purpose, in that order. And there's a reason for that, and maybe we'll come to that at some point. But as long as what I do every day brings me in some sort of joy, as long as I have a feeling that it has purpose, and that I am passionate about doing it, and it in return feeds me passion, then I'm happy. And there are many things in our lives that can happen with. So that was a very long answer to what did you dream about when you were a child. I love how you just had singer, you had astronaut, nice and clear, simple, easy. I went on and on and on.
But isn't it beautiful when you go on and on with the three things that in the backbone for all that journey: joy, passion, and purpose, right? So everything you do is coming from joy. So within, inside of you first, that brings something. And if I listen to what you share, you want to become a Queen's Guard, a dozen garbage collector. So all of that are in the service for others, for somebody, right? And where did that idea come in from, of servicing others?
That's interesting. I don't know. I had a very simple, non-influential background in that sense. My mother was a hairdresser. My father worked in sales broadly. I didn't have anyone in my family that was, you know, a nurse or a firefighter or something, you know, the sort of typical societal giving roles. But everything I've done has been in the service of others. Even my role now is in the service of others. It's why we deliver workshops. It's why we raise so much money for charity. It's why business for me has always been about having impact and purpose. It comes out in the presentations, in the books I read, in the leadership training. It's all in the pursuit of helping other people live a better or more meaningful life. I don't know where that comes from. I really don't know. I mean, I wanted to be a doctor from a very young age. Or you know, that's the one thing. Medicine has been the one thing that's stuck throughout all of my life. And I don't think there's much more a defining career than in the service of others as medicine, right? So but it's an interesting question. I'm afraid I don't have an answer for it. I have literally no idea. I guess some people are just born the way that they're born, right? I've always been quite independent. As a child, I'm an only child, so I played a lot on my own. I created, I imagined. And whether you're born imaginative or whether you become imaginative is a debate perhaps for another time. But I certainly believe that that when you are creating your own fun or creating your own worlds, or if your imagination begins, if curiosity begins to unravel, it just feeds itself and you become more curious and more imaginative. And I was always the child. I remember at school, I was the why child. the child that always asks why, the annoying child that no one wants to babysit. Why? How? Why? And I remember my mum saying, just because I said so. And I remember being in my chemistry lesson at school. I was fascinated by chemistry. And my chemistry, I was asking something about a chemistry teacher. It would have been something to do with the periodic table. There would have been an element that they would have said, you know, when you put this in water, it does this. And I would say, well, why? What's making it do that? Why does it explode when you put it in water? And they would kind of explain, you know, to a point. And I would say, but why? Why is that? And I remember him saying that you don't need to know why to pass the exam. Just learn what I'm telling you. And of course, now as an adult, I realize he probably only knew so much anyway, right? He was a teacher. He just needed to teach the bit that I needed to learn. He might not have known why. So when you are curious and when you ask more questions, every question opens up a new answer, right? And every answer leads you on a different journey. So the more questions we ask, the more wonderful this world becomes, and the more understanding we become of other people as well. Therefore, the more peace we get. It's a very simplistic and a very simple way for repair and to live a meaningful life. Yeah.
Earlier, you mentioned about the born imaginative or is growing up as an imaginative person, right? So if you trace back into your family or on the path of you growing up, where is that imaginative genetic, or is that on the way that you're growing up, you're having it?
That's a really interesting. You're very good at questions. In the cabinet behind me, I'm halfway through a family tree because I was interested to see on both sides what they did. And I wanted to know not just what their names were and when they were born and died, but I wanted to know what they did. And, you know, were any of them in prison or did any of them become? And so far, it's incredibly boring. right back to, I think, the late 1600s. They were all tradespeople, just boring. And so it's not even like a specialist trade. It just says like tradesman or and then sort of typically for the time, most of the women were housewives or raised, you know, children of that classically of that period, of that time period. But so far, there's nothing. There's no great thinker. There's no great imagineer. There's no great. So honestly, it's an interesting question I will go forward from this interview and think more about, because I wonder whether it is to do with perhaps how my parents were with me. You know, I know, for example, if I didn't know the answer to something, my parents would never tell me. They would say, go and look it up in the dictionary, go and look it up in a book, find out for yourself. And so perhaps, and it stands to reason that if you're going to model a child that they have to find out for themselves, that's how you become more curious, isn't it? And you search out the answers for yourself. And as a child, you look at things externally. And as you get slightly older, you realize that that same tool can be used internally to explore, you know, who we are and the greater meaning of what's inside us. Good question.
And I'm curious for continue with your conversation. Seems like you have the trinity of joy, passion, and purpose. And one person would wake up one day and know exactly that we have that kind of directions to go. Do you remember the time that these definitions come up to you, or something that happening that you're able to consolidate it into a beautiful trinity to find things passionately?
Well, joy, passion, and purpose are relatively new. I've always had directors. So it started when I was in school. I had a teacher. He died. I went to his funeral. His name was Jeremy Davies. He was a wonderful, wonderful, gentle man. And he had a mantra of a trinity too, interestingly, of dignity, love, respect. That was his mantra for his life and his mantra for us at school. And I adopted that for many years and tried to use that as a guiding sort of set of principles, and they're a fantastic set of principles. And actually, for many years, I encouraged my corporate clients to adopt them. And I think it's very telling that most corporate clients said, "Oh, we like dignity, we like respect, but we'll get rid of love. It doesn't sound right for the corporate environment." So they replaced it with something else, completely missing the point. And then maybe 5 years ago, perhaps 3 to 5 years ago, I started to think about a different set of frameworks, a different trinity, not necessarily a trinity, but it ended up a trinity, based on dignity, love, and respect. What else? What else could I explore? What was important? Because I felt that dignity, love, and respect were about, they were personal characteristics. They were how I think about myself and everything and others, but they don't necessarily help shape what I do. They're not necessarily help shape action or behavior. You can do something with dignity, love, and respect, but what? And it doesn't help shape that. Whereas I landed on joy, passion, and purpose because I thought, okay, if I had to pick 3 things that are going to help me find the things that matter most in my life, what do they need to attain? What's the sort of minimum bar? I worked through them in an order. It wasn't originally joy, passion, and purpose. They weren't in that order either. But I wanted something at the time in a difficult period of my life that resonated with me and that I could see the results from. And so I tried a number of different words and then settled on joy, passion, and purpose. And you know what's really interesting, Vivian? It's a really shrewd question you ask, because everything that is, for 22 years, I created content that I thought other people needed to hear or that I thought they should hear. And it didn't necessarily deeply resonate with me because it didn't need to. My job was to create content and write, and not create content in the way that we know it now, not like you guys are doing as content creators, but, to create workshops or training programs or whatever. So I didn't need to live it. I didn't need to be the leader of a FTSE or Fortune 100 company in order to advise leaders what to do, right? In the same way that you don't have to have had cancer in order to know how to cure it. It's that sort of strange dichotomy that we have. But during this turbulent time, I come up with joy, passion, and purpose and some other things, the reset principle. And since I've been teaching those, in 22 years, these new things are having so much deeper resonance with people than anything I've ever done before. Is that because you can tell that there's a level of authenticity? Maybe. Mm-hmm. Is it because I've lived them and therefore as a human being, I know these things, this is the sweet spot, this is the stuff that works, and other people say, oh, that's it, I need that too. I don't know, but it's very interesting and telling for me that I've done a ton of stuff. I've written loads of stuff. I've worked for organizations all over the world, and never has anything landed so neatly and well as it is at the minute. And the irony being, I didn't create it for other people. I created it for me. And it's only in conversations like this that I share joy, passion, and purpose, for example, as a kind of, a casual reference. And people like you come back to it and say, sorry, what was the joy, passion, and purpose? What's that? It's interesting, isn't it? So I think the lesson we take away there is that there is a moral desire, I think, for all humans to live a meaningful life. And we don't necessarily consciously think about doing it or how to do it, but it sits there in the background. We don't tend to question the decisions we've made or where we end up in life. We just end up there. And so when we get an opportunity to question it, when we meet a crossroads in life, or when there's trauma or something happens where your life is paused or disrupted for a bit and you're left, the sand is all kicked up, to use a metaphor, and you're left waiting for things to settle and reflecting, thinking about things. Do I want this? Do I not want that? What now? I don't know, someone's passed away. How does my life look different now? we don't spend very much time in those reflective phases. And so when they happen, we look back and think, wow, I just lived 15 years of my life on autopilot with not really thinking about anything, and I've ended up here. Whereas I've been questioning all the time in a casual way. And so therefore I've thought, yeah, you know what? I've done this job. I know it. This is nice. I wonder what else there is. Whereas other people would do 25 years in a job and then think, oh gosh, where's 25 years gone? You know, because they've not questioned anything. Yeah, it's an interesting point, I think.
Allow me to bring one of your example. Okay, you've been very successful in the media space, right? And what reflective moment that leading you to decide you're going to leave, you know, like Discovery, BBC, or leave all of that and starting a new journey of as a speaker, as a consultant, as a trainer, leadership developer? What happened back then?
There was not a conscious decision, and I didn't leave anything. I worked as a children's television presenter pretty much full time for about 8 years, I suppose, when I was young, as most children's TV presenters are. And then I decided I would go off and do something like a proper job, which I have to say was the worst decision I ever made, because what happens in television is when you leave television, nobody remembers you, because loads of people want to be on TV, so they just recruit new people and they forget all of those people. So when I tried to get back into TV, like 10 years later or whatever, people were like, sorry, who are you? And no, we've got people now. We don't need anyone else. So I just went on with other things, but I was always doing a bit of media in the background. Where it really changed, and it's not a very interesting story, just before COVID, I was having lots of meetings. There was a Netflix TV show I was going to co-host. There was a show on a network in the UK. We were talking to a couple of people about some ideas I'd had, and then COVID happened, and two important things happened that changed the landscape of television forever, that we will never recover from. The first thing is that because we couldn't get together, people couldn't film in a studio and they couldn't send people out to film. So they started showing repeats on television, you know, old TV shows and old clips, and realized that nobody complained. So they didn't need to buy or pay for new people to produce stuff or to send out camera crews. They could just, you know, reuse all this old stuff. And then secondly, of course, during COVID, everybody stopped spending money. And so all the advertisers stopped spending money. There were less people to advertise on TV. And those advertisers realized, oh, we're still selling our products. Maybe we don't need to spend money on TV. And so the advertising never came back. So the budgets went down. And the ideas that TV people had about, you know, filming with people, that went down as well. So it wasn't really, it's not a very interesting story. I suppose it's like most things, you know, that it goes away. Life moves on. But what's very interesting now, and what's very smart about what you two are doing, is that YouTube is watched more than television. And so there's no really any need. In fact, YouTube is the greatest threat to television. Across, I know both across England and America. Those are the two countries I have most connections with, I suppose. And the future is very much YouTube. So I'm okay about not being on TV. There are a couple of things I'm talking to. I have a meeting on Friday about a TV show, but it's a different world now. It's okay. Look, I get to be on TV now.
Earlier we talked about newness, right? And I shared with you that this is something that we easily see from the amazing people we got a chance to interview, all the people that we got a chance to know in our life also. They're not afraid of change. They're not afraid of, you know, go into something new and figure out what it is, or get into something that's been there for a long time and find out what else they could do to bring the best out of that situation. And you have all of that inside of you. You know, you wrote book, not know where, you know, where that coming from inside of you, but you wrote book and you're starting to do okay, the first certified carbon free. What is that? I wrote down earlier in here
Oh, the one I did
the
before was the honey farm.
yeah, the honey farm. Oh, a lot
Yeah.
of things that like new, right? So when you thought of newness in life, how does that feel to you when you think about that word?
Mm. Well, I think it's really important to acknowledge that the opportunity to start again never expires. So newness isn't a thing that you find or discover or chase.
Mm.
Newness is in us all the time. If you think about us as a body, as a cell, as a thing, this physical thing is regenerating new cells all the time. It's creating new blood cells. It's creating more blood. It's creating new skin cells. It's creating new hair cells. Not that I have much use for them, but it is. They seem to be in my ears now. I'm getting older, rather than on my hair. But newness is not a concept that is alien to any of us. It's not a thing that we should aspire to. It's in us. It is, I think, community and society that has and old science that we have adopted and learnt, that you are, as a child, you learn these things, you grow up, you learn more things, you get a job, you get married, you have children, you live your life. That's it. That's the linear life that most people led for many years. And this sort of corporate capitalist idea of 2.4 children, and you go to work, you bring the money in, and that's great, right? And if you think about the concept of newness, well, there are two things that happen every morning when I wake up. Firstly, I say thank you, because what a wonderful opportunity that is. I saw firsthand people that didn't wake up in the morning. So I open my eyes and I think, oh, great, I get to do it again. And the second thing is I ask myself, how do you feel? And I try to answer in 3 words, short words, like tired, achy, whatever. And then I ask myself, how do you want to feel? And I think, well, alive, sprightly, happy. And then you've got a choice. Say, great, okay, we'll choose those words instead then. Let's choose to be that today. And so every day you can be a new version of yourself, right? So I think newness is a concept that we carry all the time. I don't have to. Here's the thing. So I used to drink alcohol. I don't drink alcohol now, but I would drink. I would go out with friends, and they would say, "Oh, let's have a beer," and he'd go, "Great, yeah, I'll have a beer too." And I'd be drinking it, thinking, "I don't like this. I don't like the taste of it. I don't like it's fizzy, but why am I drinking something I don't like?" I might go out and I'll order maybe a coffee in the morning if I'm staying in a hotel. But for me, coffee has to be hot. I want hot coffee in the morning. Hot, no milk. If it arrives and it's not hot, I will send it back and say, please, could I like hot, really hot coffee? Because that's just a waste of life, isn't it? It's a waste of time. You can choose what you get to start again with, or what new thing you want. And it should all the time fill you as much as possible. It's life. Life isn't easy. Nobody said it was going to be easy. And life is just life. Life isn't good or bad. It's just life. Life, it can't be stressful or not stressful. It's just life. Life is all of those things. But it should really be as joyful as you can possibly make it. And if hot coffee gives you joy, then why are you drinking lukewarm or cold coffee? You have the choice to have new coffee, right? So at one end, you've got that newness. And another end, you've got what else is inside me? What else could I explore? And it might be exactly what you're doing now, but happier, or more intensely. Or it might be what you're doing now, but with other people. It might be something completely different. Think about relationships as well. I mean, the number of people who are in relationships that know deep down inside that it isn't right. They're not happy, or it's not for them, but they're in a relationship because, well, they don't want to, I don't know, they've got a house that they share, or it changes the income, or whatever. that's a newness in you that you are extinguishing, that you are choosing to not enable to grow and to be new. So for me, the concept of newness, I just think is, I don't want to say easy, but you know what I mean? It's simpler. It's a really simple thing that we all have. It just comes down to choice. And, you know, choice is either yes or no. I've always been very, very vocal about this idea of surveys when people say, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, score where you are. Well, that's useless. 10 is useful and 1 is useful, but everything in the middle is useless, right? What does a 6 mean? What even is that? And then they say, oh, we'll use 1 to 5. How happy were you with our service on a score of 1 to 5? Well, 5 is a very useful metric and 1 or 0 is very useful. But if you say we were 3 happy, what the heck does 3 happy mean? And if you say, well, answer this question, yes, no, maybe. No, not maybe. If it's not yes, it's no, right? So there's no maybe. It's either yes 100%, and if it's not yes 100%, then it's a no. But the thing with people say, oh no, but it might be not. I'm not quite sure. Well, then it's a no because it's not yes. And they say, but I might want to change my mind. You can change your mind. It can be no now, not forever. It can be yes now, but tomorrow it might be no. And I think this is this idea that traps us with the idea of newness, is this construct we have where we think we have to make a decision for life or it has to be right forever. When I pressed reset and I thought, where do I go now? How do I want to change my life? What needs to happen? There were all sorts of things I thought. We went down a road of me, some of my clients wanted me to run a retreat. And so we went down this road of creating a retreat. 3 months, 3 of us spent working full time on developing this retreat. And I said, I got to kind of 3 months and I said, it's not this. It's not this. This isn't it. I said yes 3 months ago, but it's not this. It's not it. We have to go in a different direction. And so we just drew a line under it and we didn't run the retreat. So I think the more we talk about changing our mind, it's not a failure. Even if it was a failure, what does that matter? We only learn when we fail. That's where all of the learning is in failure. But we don't think it's okay to change our mind and do something new. And I think we should do as many new things as possible. We learn much more about ourselves and what's really meaningful. These answers are way too long. I'm so sorry.
It's so beautiful. It's a very.
You're asking great questions.
At what age did you feel that the newness, the heart of newness, is starting to blossom inside of you, Jez?
It's difficult when you have to look back, don't you? I don't know. I've always tried new things, always. I mean, from forever, from when I was born. I mean, you heard when I was little, you know, baker, butcher, candlestick maker, you know, anything. I'd look at something, I want to be that. I think you know what's interesting? You are unlocking so many things. This is like free therapy for me. One of the things I've just thought about is how I grew up in the countryside, and I then obviously lived on the farm right in the heart of the countryside. I live in the countryside now. I like nature very much. I like the natural world. And the natural world is changing all the time, isn't it? I came up with this seasonal change model that sort of that models the nature's seasons and how it mimics how we change. But there's always rebirth. There's always something new in nature. A new leaf, a new flower, a new status, and things die back and they come again. And so maybe, I don't know, maybe that subtly influenced me, but there's no turning points. Always been there. Always been there. What's new? What do we do now? It's not a lack of appreciation. It's not boredom. It's not ADHD. It is deep appreciation for where we are now, and how could we make this better? How could we improve this? And sometimes that leads you somewhere else entirely. But I never give up on things. I'm not one of these people that start something and then go, oh, what's over here? It's not that. I do this thing fully. And when I feel I've sort of done it and got a good idea of it, it may or may not be enough for me to go and try something new. There are many things that have been consistent through my life. It's not like everything I've sort of picked up and played with a bit and then put down. But for almost everything I've done, I've pushed. I've done something different with it. I've looked to create something new with it. The honey farm was a classic example. And then ceramics now, you know, just we're creating what will be the world's first carbon neutral ceramic studio, because that's not been done before. And that is entirely just to say, okay, what can we do that's new in the world of pottery and ceramics, and push the boundaries there, and hopefully change the story a bit for some people. Yeah, so it's always been there, I think, new.
Wow. The newness is easily to see also, right, from inside of you, but the pushing the boundary, where is that coming from?
Well, if I was honest, that probably is, that's psychological, that's deeper. That is
Share with us.
partly, that's partly probably coming from being an only child. It's coming from, perhaps with respect to both of my parents, a bit of over-parenting, in the sense that what they wanted to do was encourage me to be the best I could be. And their version of that was try harder, try again, try more. And unfortunately, what that creates is a child that chases validation. And you inherit that as an adult. Think about the things I've done. I'm creating something and giving it to people to say, is this good enough? I stand on stage and perform and say, did you like this? Are you going to give me the applause? Oh, I got the applause. You liked it. I stand on stage and I speak to people. What do they say? What's the feedback? Oh, they got applause. Oh, they laughed. Oh, good. I write a book. How's it doing? Are the reviews okay? Oh, it's a #1 bestseller. Oh, good. All of the things have been that way. And of course, that's subconscious, deep, deep, deep back here. It's not like I stand on stage and say, please like me. It's not, it doesn't happen like that. I think what it creates is a desire to push yourself. And for many, many years, I was obsessed with perfection. I read a wonderful book. There's an author called Charlie Mackesy who wrote a book called, I think I'm going to butcher this title. It is The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse, I think is the book. It's beautiful. It's one of my top 5 books of all time. I bought more copies of that as gifts than I think any other book. And in it, there is a page, a print, and it says, "The greatest illusion," said the mole, "is that life should be perfect." And it struck me like a rock. I thought, oh wow, yeah, life's not perfect, is it? And when I was at the farm, I did all of the gardens. When we moved in, there was nothing there, and we created lots of gardens. And every path I created had one dead straight edge, like they're supposed to have. And the other edge of the path, the other side of the path, I just left. So it was all wiggly. And it was there to remind people as you walk down the path that life isn't perfect. And as like a metaphor. And it changed everything in my life then. I realized, I was chasing completely the wrong thing. I was creating so much stress and pressure on myself for everything to be perfect. So I think, you know, all of that plays into that. So now coming back to joy, passion and purpose, I have a desire that everything should be as good as it can be, but without the stress and the pressure of it trying to be perfect, because those two, they're very different things.
We know the 3 things: joy, passion, and purpose. You mentioned about that already. You talked about that already, but you haven't touched to the part of its order. The order of joy, and then to passion, to purpose. I want to know, why is that coming to that order, Jez?
Well, because most people think about a purpose in life first. They think about What could I do? What could I be? What job could I have? Which negates joy. There are many, many people. Would I say most? That's dangerous. I don't know if I could put that on it. But there are many people that are doing a job they don't enjoy. But they're doing a job and they're okay with it. It's not like they're crying every night, although there are those people too. But if you ask them, why are you doing it if you don't enjoy it? Well, it's a job. It's stable. I do whatever from 9 till 5. I get paid. It puts food on the table. I get to take my children and my family away for for holidays. I clock off at 5 o'clock and I do whatever I want, right? So imagine living a life where joy was not even a secondary consideration, but was either a third consideration or not even an active consideration. I have traveled in the back of many ambulances on many times with many patients who are dying or who are elderly, coming to the end of their life. They might have had a fall and they need to go into hospital, and I have a lovely chat with them at 86 or something. And I always chat about life, and most of them will say something along the lines of, I wish I had more fun, or I wish I didn't worry too much about, or the sort of regrets of the dying. That's a very common phrase, and a book as well, I believe. I've not read it. And so I thought, well, if I get to start again, what a wonderful privilege. Lots of people don't get to do that. What must this life look like now? And I thought, well, joy has to go first. And then what follows up with that is a sense of doing something I'm passionate about, because that feeds into joy, right? If I'm passionate about the thing, I'm going to be joyful. It returns. And then third, purpose. So that I feel like what I do has a sense of purpose. Because sometimes you'll do things that have no value, they have no purpose, but they make you very happy. You could sit and watch a TV show that you find funny, or a comedian. It has no purpose. It's not moving life forwards, right? But you feel joyful and you get great passion about it. Well, that's lovely. That's okay. Not everything has to have purpose, right? But it's important, I think, that those three work together. Yeah, that's my take on it anyway.
I'm just curious, Jez, because the word is limitless with you, right? And then your teacher, Jeremy Davy, when he gave you the three, dignity, love, and respect, right? Mm-hmm. And then when you had a chance to reset and redo your new, like mission or values that you want to operate in your life. You could do it 4, you could do it 5, you could do it 2. Why 3? Why 3 again after all many years?
Well, you need to ask that question to lots of people, I think. Why 3? We're brought up with 3, aren't we? We're raised on 3s. 3s is the Holy Trinity, right? 3s is the triad. 3s is, an addiction triad is 3 things. The Holy Trinity is 3 things. You plant in 3s or 5s or odd numbers because it visually, psychologically looks better, looks neater. Yeah, I don't know. Probably influence from Mr. Davies. I had 3 for so long, it felt right to have another 3. But isn't it interesting how they work together so well? Like if you took one out, knowing that other one there, it doesn't quite work as well. It's very interesting.
Yeah. I didn't know.
Imagine having passion and purpose. Sorry, I'm talking over you. I'm so sorry. Imagine having passion and purpose, but no joy. Imagine having joy and purpose, but not really getting any passion. Not feeling passionate about it, right? It's interesting. It's like they feed each other. It's very useful. I'm sorry.
I think in our culture, number 3 is also very important because it means it's solidity, it's strong, it's stable, and that's why I'm curious to know whether or not it coming from a culture that you've been having or something.
Yeah.
I want to talk about reset. Yes, and I know you are the creator for that framework of resetting, and you've been doing a lot of things. You gave it to the best of your ability to do, and until you feel like okay, you're satisfied with that, or you decided to do something else, you're gonna hit the reset button. You move on, right? And in life, there's a lot of people who hit the reset button too early, or they're gonna hit the reset button too late, or maybe there's no definition of lateness, but they're not hitting the reset button at all, and they keep carrying with life. And 20 years later, they look at the life and oh, this is how I spent 20 years, right? How could we hit the reset button at the best time for us? So it's not going to be too early, it's not going to be too late.
I've never been asked that question. Give me 1 minute to think about that. That's a very good question. My instinct is, you have great questions. My instinct is I don't think you can reset sooner than you can. I think it has to happen at a time that's right for you. And here's why. I'll keep this very short. If I had pressed, I didn't know I needed to reset my life. I was living my life fine. It wasn't quite working out and things weren't great, but I didn't know I needed to press reset. I had to reach rock bottom before I pressed reset, and then everything changed. If I'd have pressed reset before, it would have gone, my life would have gone in a completely different direction, right? And possibly I would have pressed reset too soon. So but let me very quickly explain what reset is, and then it may answer the question. It's the reason it's reset is because it's an acronym, so RESET. It just spells reset. It didn't spell reset when I first came up with it. I came up with this for me. I lived this, and the first thing I did was I thought, right, what's working and what's not? Just press pause on life for a second. What's working and what's not? Recognize, that's the R for reset, recognize the patterns that are keeping you stuck. What do you keep doing that isn't working? Now, if you only get that far, that's amazing, because to look at your life and say what's working and what's not, well, now you've got a choice. Just stop doing the things that aren't working. Well, now you're only doing the things that are working, and you've got a secondary choice now. Firstly, the time and energy that you were spending into the things that don't work, feed that time and energy into the things that do work, and they work even more. Or find some new things to do and see if you can find different things to work. So that was the first thing. The second thing was to think about the things that I wasn't asking. What are the questions? Because the more questions we ask, the better, because questions change behaviors. Statements keep you where you are. So if you say, I'm fat, I'm stupid, I'm this, that, and the other, well, that just keeps you here. That grounds you. That says, I am this person. You're not moving from that. If you ask a question, it will move you forwards, because you're going to think about a different answer, takes you in a different direction in life. So I thought I've got to engage. That's the E for reset, E for engage. I've got to engage with the questions that I'm not asking. Because when you're right in the middle of stuff, when you're in the thick of it, you're not very good at looking at things objectively, are you? You know, when it's your pain you're sitting with, it takes someone else to say, maybe you should go for a walk. And you feel amazing when you go for a walk. But I think, well, why didn't I think of going for a walk? Well, because you're in it. You're right in the middle of it. It's why we're really good at giving other people advice. We're not necessarily good at giving ourselves advice, because we're here, enclosed in our own bubble, right? Then the third thing I thought about, which is what I do all the time, is just to simplify everything. Just cut everything back. We don't become who we are or the best version of ourselves by adding more. We become the best version of ourselves by subtraction, by shedding, getting rid of the unnecessary stress, the unnecessary people, the unnecessary objects. You know, people, I was with a friend recently and they were entering a competition to buy a big house. You paid like £1. It was a raffle and you could win this great big mansion. And she said, are you gonna join? And I said, absolutely not. No. She said, why? It's £1. Like, you could win this. I said, yeah, but think about the cleaning. Think about the maintenance. Think about the insurance. Why do I want a massive? She said, well, you could sell it. I said, yeah, but it's still yours for a bit. You've still got to have house insurance and contents insurance. I'm like, no, absolutely not. I don't want that. Give me joy, passion, and purpose, right? So that's the E. The S, sorry, is simplify. Just simplify your life, simplify your thinking. Just cut everything back. Stop trying to do everything. Give yourself some space. The second E is to understand that it's curiosity that fuels progress and change, right? So the more curious we are, the different answers we get. We open up different avenues that we can go in. So, and I suppose it really, sorry, the second D stands for experimentation, because you just want to try new things. Just try something different. If you fail, it doesn't matter, because you learn. And you either learn, I don't like that, or that's not the way to do it. Or, you know, this isn't the thing for me. But you learn, you become a better person from it. You get great lessons. And then the final letter, T, is to trust the pull. It's about trusting your gut instinct. How many times in your life have you had a gut instinct about something, think, this doesn't feel right, or I don't really trust that person, or I think we should do this, it just feels right. Well, it's not a gut instinct, it's coming from your brain. This, of course, the feeling, that kind of butterflies, the weird feeling you get, those are all neurochemicals, right? That's just a chemical change in your body. And when was the last time you had that, but you trusted your head instead? You went a different way. It never works out. It's really hard to find somebody who can remember a time when they didn't trust the gut instinct and it was better. Normally, your gut instinct is correct. So trust the pull, trust the thing. And coming full circle, for me, what happened is I realized if I was really honest with myself, I love speaking. It's been my job, it's been my career, it's been my identity for 22 years. I love it. I don't love being in a hotel for 250 days of the year. I don't love accepting all of the bookings so that I'm so busy that sometimes I wake up and I don't know where I am, and that I feel I'm delivering a message that is just nonsense. You know, I was at a conference once and they had made £240 million in revenue the year before. And they said, we think you guys are so good. Your sales team is brilliant. Next year, I think we can get to 480 million. And I thought, what's wrong with 240 million? That's a huge amount of money, right? I mean, there's a capitalist argument that you have to keep, you know, earning more for shareholders and yada, yada, yada. But still, you know, so I trusted that kind of pull and thought, okay, those things are different. And thought, well, who am I now? You know, if I'm not going to be speaking as much, what do I want to do? And there was this this was so weird. I went away on holiday. My dad sent me away. He said, you need to go away for 10 days and just, you know, have some time out, relax. And the place I was going to was very well known for pottery. And I thought, I'll book and do a pottery session. I've never done that. That'd be interesting. And I booked and thought no more about it. And 2 days later, I couldn't get this pottery lesson out of my head. I thought, why do I keep thinking about this pottery lesson? And then another 2 days went by and I said to my partner, I said, I can't wait. I can't wait for the holiday. I've got to do it now. And I don't know why. I had this pull to do pottery. Weirdest thing happened. I do the pottery. I fall in love with it. It's the most content I've ever been. I'm obsessed with it. It's like it's been inside me the whole time, but I didn't even know it. Yeah, I'm gonna cry. It's very powerful. Trust the pull, and reset when it feels right for you. You don't have to reset. But there are an incredible number of people I've met since I talked about reset who it really resonates with. Almost every single time I speak now, almost every single time, somebody will come up to me afterwards and say, I had a passion before, or I thought about doing a thing before and I put it to the back of my mind, but you've ignited it. That's the thing. I know I've got to go and do that. It's in all of us, right?
Jez, I have a gift for you, and this is just an idea, okay? Because you look into your family tree up until 1600s, and you're trying to look for, where the creativity part, start and everything, right? I think it's there all the time, but we're not seeing that. For example, like your father, he sent you to the 10 days of retreat, and for you to look inside of you to find out what is that can reset you, to bring you to the next level. That is a wisdom right there. That brings you to the idea of reconnecting yourself, finding the creativity. And if you look at the family tree, you're saying that it's a trade man or it's a boring job. I believe this trade salespeople are always very creative themselves also. It's just a different set of creativity. All right, so.
Oh, yes. Oh, no, you've made me feel terrible. You're so right. Because tradespeople are incredibly creative. Yes, of course. I think what I wanted was, I was looking, and this is a good lesson. I was looking for it to say expert shoemaker or, I don't know, baker or I don't know, something to give me an idea of, oh, that's it. But actually, yeah, you're right. Maybe there is a whole lineage of creativity in my life. I'm going to go off and see if I can find out exactly what they were doing. Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you. That's a lovely gift. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I have two last questions for this conversation. All right. And thank you so much for sharing so many beautiful things. And one word in there that you kept repeating, sharing in the later of this conversation is the word I think. And my wife and I would love to have people to improve their ability to think, because we believe that there's so many things that impacting our ability to think these days. And if we can learn from experts, we can, through conversation like this, we can pick up some points, some advice that can help, that would be wonderful. So the question for you is, Jez, how have you been expanding your ability to think over the years?
There's more questions. I'd say I think a lot. It's because I do. I'm a big thinker. I'm always thinking. My brain is always on. Just ask more questions. That's how you think more. We don't ask enough questions. Between the ages of 2 and 5, we ask about 40,000 explanatory questions, the how and the why, which just proves that as human beings, we're built to ask questions. We're built to seek out more information to improve. And then when we reach adulthood, we stop asking questions. You read something on Facebook or in the news and it becomes your opinion. Someone tells you something, you tell someone else. You don't ask questions about what's the validity of that, who said that, show me the evidence, or we stop asking questions. So that's how you think more. You ask more questions.
Wow, that's more question. Sounds simple, like you say, but a lot of people operating with answer, but not operating with questionings, right?
Well, think about in leadership, like you both of you have interviewed a lot of leaders, right? My very good friend, Marshall Goldsmith, I saw that you'd spoken to Marshall. He will tell you the same thing, specifically in leadership. A very, very strong characteristic of a good leader is to ask those in their charge questions. And the most powerful question is, what do you think we should do? But most leaders don't do that because they are under the illusion that they should have all the answers. So they just tell people. You ask me a question, I tell you the answer. I tell you. And the dialogue of questions and what that does when we open that up is incredible. When I speak to a group of people and I say, what do you think we should do today? They sit there in silence because they're not used to being asked the question, right? Well, I don't know. We don't really ask questions. You just tell us. So there's a huge power. It's incredibly simple. But therein is the greatest lesson in life. Life is complicated. Human beings, we're pretty simple. We overcomplicate things. We make things much more complicated than they need to be.
It's a beautiful one you just shared. And I hope that we all can live simpler. So life is a lot less enough to stress on our shoulder if we can have that mentality, right? The last question is also something that an exercise that View and I always love doing. If we can travel with you together now to any
Yes.
given point in time with you, and in your lifetime, I'll let you pick the time that you want us to visit you. Okay. So the question is, at what age you want us to visit, and if we can meet that, Jez at that age, what is the message that you're going to tell him about life, about the future, about anything that you can have a chance to talk to?
In my past?
Yes, you pick a time.
Okay. I was going to say, come and see me in 4 years' time. In my past, I struggled with depression a lot during my late teens, early 20s. I think I would go back to myself around about age 25, something like that. And I would say there is a wonderful phrase by, gosh, who is it by? I want to say Doretta Welty. I don't think it's that. Just give me 20 seconds. I have to fact check this. I'm going to find who it's by. Oh gosh, that doesn't even say it. Hang on, 20 seconds. 20 seconds. I'm so sorry. You'll have to edit this bit out. It might have been Coco Chanel. Who said it? Oh, it was Coco Chanel. Okay. So the Coco Chanel said, "Don't be like the rest of them, darling." And I think that is such a wonderful thing. There's so much in that. And I would say to my 25-year-old self that you're about to go off on this random race course. And all along, inside you, don't try and compare yourself to everyone else. Don't try and chase what everyone else is chasing. Don't try to be someone else. Be you, wholly and unashamedly you. Just you. You don't have to be the person that other people want you to be. You don't have to be the person that you think other people expect you to be. You don't have to be the person that you want other people to want you to be. Just be you unashamedly. Don't be like the rest of them. And you'll find everything falls into place. For a little while, I came away from Buddhism, and coming back to it, everything just falls into place because it's right for me. It's not right for everyone, but it is. It's a great endeavor for us all to think about whether or not we're on the right path for us, or whether we're just on a path because of influence or because someone else put us on that path.
Yes. Any would you want to say the parting word for this beautiful conversation?
The what word? I'm sorry.
The parting words.
Oh, a parting words. Gosh, there are so many things always to say, aren't there? It's like when someone says, what's the best piece of advice you were ever given? I think, what, crikey, over 42 years, I've had tons of advice. I think the parting words would be thank you. This has been a joy. I don't agree to many of these. Thank you to both of you. You have been joyful, really. It's been such a pleasure to meet both of you. And thank you to the listener if you've got this far. There's so much to life. It's a wonderful, beautiful thing that we get given. And I can't wait to see where your journeys take you. How exciting.
Yes, thank you so much for being so generous and kind to join, to share us your beautiful story with a lot of wisdom in here for us to really take our time to reflect and to think about that. What is that we need to reset? What is that we need to, to look at and continue up doing? And for showing our the people around the world, the beautiful works that you do, and leading the way, reset, you leading the way to the next one, that everything is possible. There's newness inside all of us and everywhere, right? We don't have to be someone else. We can always celebrate people for their newness, for our newness also. So just We love you, and we really look forward to seeing you in person one day, very, very soon, my friend. Okay?
It's a promise. It's a promise. I will see you in Vietnam. Thank you so much. Have a
Thank
good
you
day.
very much. You too.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye bye, Jess. Bye, Vivian. Thank you.